My fellow Americans, it's me again, Mark Twain. I've been so honored to come back from the beyond as an oracle to cheer you up with my unique brand of humor during this COVID-19 pandemic. Each day I am among you, I marvel at the advancements in technology that keep you creative and connected. Back in the 1800s, when we were confined indoors, all we had were game boards and books to read. But you had the internet and television. Now I must confess some confusion about your television language. For instance, the concept of soap opera is perplexing. I have watched a few, and none of them promotes soap as a cleanser, nor do any of the actors sing opera. Now, during this pandemic, I've seen the notices at the bottom of the television screen that General Hospital bumped from its regular time slot during the day will be seen in its entirety at 1:06 a.m. Why, I'm astonished by the thought that some people would wake up in the middle of the night to see a television show that has nothing to do with making people better. The producers of the show would do well to rename it, and my suggestion would be General Insomnia. Now, I have become fond of some of your television advertisements. When I was a younger boy, growing up in Hannibal, Missouri, I acquired a fond taste for Hershey's chocolate candy. Mr. Milton Hershey, who pioneered the discovery of caramel candy in the mid-1800s using fresh milk, has become a respected friend in the heavenly heights. He only had a 4th grade education, but the company he founded is worth $10 billion today. He and I share one common belief. We never let schooling interfere with our education. Now, speaking of fresh milk, in my days, it was poured into glass containers and delivered to your door each day. But in the mid-1960s, when plastic was discovered, these larger quart bottles are now the preferred containers. I am so glad to learn that they can be recycled. Now, when I was a boy, most people would say that drinking milk would make you stronger. Drink 5 glasses and try to move a wall. It can't be done. But drink 5 glasses of wine and the wall moves all by itself. Now, based on these facts, I can honestly admit to you that I am a hybrid. I run on wine and chocolate. Now, during my short visit with you to this mortal life, I have become fond of a candy called Peeps. The ingredients sound suspect. Gelatin, potassium sorbate, canaba wax, sugar corn syrup. But the marshmallow taste in the candy is sinfully irresistible. I am confident they are safe to eat because on the back of the label, it says that they are made in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, not Judea. Now, another source of television confusion for me is this term drive-through. It applies to people in their automobiles picking up food and prescriptions and banking and donuts and coffee without leaving their cars. Well, I think the term is all wrong, for I've never seen anyone drive through a pharmacy or drive through a bank or a restaurant. It should be drive around or drive by, but not drive through. Why, if you drove through, that would be damaging to both cars and customers. Now, I also have some confusion about your computer language. This is a mouse. It has whiskers and a long tail. But for you to control your computer, you call this a mouse. It has no whiskers or a tail. And it astounds me that somebody thought this up. I'd like to have a conversation with them and try to change their mind. I'm also confused about how the container of spam, when teamed up with the U.S. mail, can be called spam mail. It's perplexing to the mind of an author and a humorist from the early 19th century that food and mail could be combined as spam mail. Now, I've heard on television that people out of work are called laid off. I think this is another euphemism because I've never seen them laying on beds or sofas or the ground. Rather, I see them standing in lines waiting to apply for unemployment benefits or picking up food. I see their faces on the television and internet, fearful about running out of food and not being able to get work. Well, I want to advocate an end to this euphemism, laid off. It is degrading. It's a bad label for a sad time in your national history. Call it what it truly is. Desperate people seeking work, seeking food for their families. Now, I want to give a shout out, I believe that's how it's done, to Generation Z for your internet creativity in reaching out to healthcare workers and seniors confined to the indoors and the unemployed to cheer them up. Your imaginations truly fascinate me. I want to call on Generation Z to help make this change of euphemisms happen. I have learned you are very reliant on technology to help solve problems. You are more tolerant of others, of different cultures and sexual orientations and different races. I encourage you to weave these virtuous characteristics together and work on your legacy for creating Generation K, which stands for kindness. Now, throughout history, many people have inspired a popular saying to me, kindness is a language the deaf can hear and the blind can see. I must admit truly, I am not the author of that saying. But since no one has claimed it yet, I am happy to take people's credit. I'm dead 110 years. I've returned to this mortal life briefly by the grace of God to do my part in cheering you up during this health crisis. No lawyer threatening me with a copyright lawsuit would dare to take on an oracle of the divine lawmaker. I have always said there are two kinds of lawyers, the kind who know the law and the kind who know the judge. So, Generation Z, all of you plugging into me right now, born in 2001 to the present, get to work on creating Generation K. I'm guessing the letter Z stands for zealous or zestful. If that is true, then claim your identity. What I'm seeing on the television of how young people are cheering up old people and desperate people seeking work, and healthcare workers and first responders and food service workers and truck drivers, harness your imaginations for being zealous and zestful in turning the bad news of this COVID-19 virus into the good news of kindness, being the best antidote for defeating all health viruses in the future. Make this your legacy. Begin with the end in mind. How do you wish to be remembered, Generation Z? By the ways you nurtured and sustained kindness during this pandemic and inspired a new generation of kindness givers to follow you and carry it on. I have an idea that might help, and I will share it with you when I visit you again in your homes in a couple of weeks. Until then, spread kindness because it makes America great.